Hi, it's Paul. So, due diligence is not about finding perfection. It's really about verifying the story, understanding the risk, and pricing and structuring accordingly. So, due diligence doesn't mean that you won't do the deal. It tells you if you do proceed, at what price you should proceed at, and what protections you need. So, due diligence doesn't kill deals, bad deals kill them. So, in this video, I'm going to run you through how we run due diligence. So, due diligence starts before NDAs and data room. First calls are part of the due diligence exercise. You're asking owners questions, soliciting information, and red flags typically tend to show up early on. I don't really, for example, if they said, I don't really look at the numbers or my accountant does all of that, then that tends to suggest that they don't have robust financial processes. Prior to any financial offer or heads of terms, we will have solicited various high-level information such as financial data. This means that we're not going to spend 50 grand to prove a 5 million deal doesn't work. And we call it staged due diligence. So, there's that high level pre heads of terms due diligence, there's then confirmatory post heads of terms, and then the final part is when we move through the legal process towards a completion. So, this means that we've got time efficiency, cost control, it avoids deal fatigue, and it protects relationships. So, let's look at the financial due diligence first of all. It's not just about EBITDA, it will cover quality of earnings, so recurring revenues versus one offs, revenue concentration, customer churn, gross profit margin, stability, labor dependence, owner add backs, what are real and what are, a bit sort of in the pie in the sky. So cash is king. So we'll always be analysing in detail the working capital dynamics of the business, looking at seasonality, debtor quality. So red flags here could be EBITDA is rising but cash is falling, or high customer concentration, or aggressive revenue recognition or adjusted EBITDA. So we'll be looking not just at the financial records but customer data, contracts, and analysing that data. Then, as we move into commercial operation due diligence, quite a bit of this starts before we even do any outreach. So, we'll be understanding the market size and defensibility, for example. And then, specific to the acquisition, we'll be looking at pricing, why customers buy from this business, why they stay, why they may leave. Operationally, we'll look at key person risks, systems, procedures, reliance on subcontractors, capacity constraints, and what breaks if volume doubles. So, I want to get to a point of being able to say here, if I remove the owner tomorrow, what actually happens? And we're reviewing all of that customer information and internal processes. Then, from a legal point of view, legal due diligence is really for understanding ownership, contracts, and risk transfer. So, we'll focus on customer contracts, supplier contracts, change of control clauses, employment terms, IP ownership, litigation, and disputes. And transparency really does matter here more than the polish. So, having honest answers, understanding what systems they have or lack of, and understanding that data and controls. So, how do we translate this due diligence then into deal protection? So, due diligence feeds into price chips. So, deferred consideration, earnouts, retentions, escrows, warranties and indemnities, lockbox versus completion accounts. These are all the sorts of things that sort of feed from the due diligence. So, for example, let's say there's a high customer concentration. You might want to link more of the purchase price to an earnout. So, it's conditional on the key customer remaining with the business post transaction. If there are specific legal risks that are identified, then we may require specific indemnities in the eventual SPA. And if there was a working cap volatility, we may want to adjust in completion accounts. Do we ever walk away? Well, my early mentor once said to me, some of the best deals you do are the ones that you actually walk away from. So you can be at risk, particularly in the first few deals of getting the deal, having that sort of deal heat. You just want to get that deal done. But sometimes walking away actually is the best thing to do because it saves money, it protects reputation, and it preserves capital for better deals. So we don't often walk away because ultimately, if we're sourcing long-established, profitable businesses that have been around for a while, chances are that you've not survived for such a long period without being, financially robust and having a reasonable business. But it might not all be perfect, but good enough. So due diligence is a decision-making tool. It's not about killing deals. It's about structuring great deals. And if you don't do due diligence properly, you risk overpaying, inheriting problems, and ultimately you'll lose leverage. So look, if you've liked this video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. If you want to be notified when the next video is out, click subscribe. And if you're interested to learn more about mergers and acquisitions, you can join our free Dealmaker community. The link's in the description, and you can connect directly with me and hundreds of deal makers around the world. For now, happy deal making. Do drop in the comments what you've offered on in the past month. No, not company names, but it'd be great to hear from our community about sort of deals that are floating out there, deal sizes, industries. I'd love to hear what you're up to.